It is 4 p.m. We're bringing developing news.
And the stories behind the headlines. This is Storycon. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Ed Lingao. Some stores are watching this Friday. It's the weekend.
The 4th of July. Happy 4th of July.
Justice Secretary Boying Remulla confirms 15 police officers implicated in the case of the missing Sabongeros have been placed under restricted duty. Remulla says the officers are being tagged in executions linked to the high-profile disappearances and will now be confined to office tasks. Meanwhile, Malacanang says Press Secretary J. Luis does not know a certain alias Mr. Brown who was seen with him in a photo that has gone viral on social media. Alias Mr. Brown was a supposed go-between of businessman Atong Ang and so-called whistleblower Julie Patidongan or alias Totoy.
Gretchen Barreto has denied involvement in the case of the disappeared cockfighting enthusiasts or the Sabongeros. Her lawyer said Barreto was merely one of 20 investors in Sabong and had no role in any meetings or decisions involving the Sabongeros. Barreto vowed to cooperate with the investigation and urged the public not to rush to judgment. Senator Mig Zubiri has confirmed the creation of a so-called veteran bloc in the Senate composed of himself, Loren Delgarda, Tito Soto, and Ping Lacson. Zubiri said the bloc aims to defend the upper chamber as a beacon of truth, fairness, and constitutional integrity, and that they're open to like-minded lawmakers. Soto said the group could also be called the Conscience Bloc, whose objective is to ensure clean, rules-based legislation and transparent fiscal policy. The inflation in the Philippines ticked up to 1.4% in June, ending 4 months of declining prices. The speed up was because of a sharp rise in costs for housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels, but the year-to-date inflation rate remains at a modest 1.8%, which is well within the government's target range for 2025.
And tropical depression Bising slightly intensifies while moving over the sea west of northern Luzon. As of 11 a.m., signal number 1 is up over parts of the Babuyan Islands, Ilocos Norte, and Ilocos Sur. The southwest monsoon, enhanced by Bising, will continue to bring rains over Metro Manila, Central Luzon, and Ilocos region, and the Cordilleras through the weekend. And joining us in a bit will be Storycon's resident political papa, Ronald Llamas. Mamaya pa po yun.
We clarify mo, Papa is a presidential
advisor on political affairs.
You're calling.
He's my papa.
It's a derogatory term or something.
It's not.
Oo nga pala. And the Philippine Star Editor-in-Chief, Ami Pumintuan. Hi, Ami. Where are you?
Hi, happy Friday.
Oh, yan.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Maganda ang kulay ni aming yun. No?
Rust.
Oh, Rust ba tawag yan? Rust?
Oh,
Hindi mo alam. Sasabihin mo lang orange.
I know my colors. I know how to make brown and green by
really?
mixing primary. I paint I paint stuff.
Okay.
I painted my car before.
You paint the town red.
Would you believe I painted the car?
painter ka pala noon, ha?
Oo.
Painter siya.
Nagmasila pa ako ng kotse tapos nagliha ako tapos pininturahan ko. Anyway, moving on.
It's oddly satisfying, no? Doing your own errands
I don't
in the
want to
house.
call it ugly. I call it satisfying.
Oddly satisfying. Like yung kunyari, I was talking to Sean the other night about yung, we were having conversation about regrouting your own tiles sa bahay or ikaw sarili magpipintura. Parang there's a lot of satisfaction in
I'd call it dirty satisfaction.
manual labor. No? Pag ikaw yung kaya mong gawin sarili mo, yung errands around the house.
Yung magbabakbaka ng tapos kasi ako lumaki sa seminaryo eh. So naglilinis kami ng kubeta, walang skoba. Wala nga.
Ang gamit niyo? Yung sponge lang.
Hindi nga eh. Kung sponge, skoba na rin kami. Kut-kut. Gamit mo lang, ang tawag doon, muriatic.
Muriatic acid?
Dilute mo sa sabon tsaka tubig. Oo.
Using your bare hands?
Oo, dilute mo nga. Medyo makati ng
Oh
konti,
my
pero at least
gosh.
alam mo patayong germs.
We don't we don't
kumakain.
advise
Sorry.
that, ha? That's please don't follow Ed here.
Oh, niya si Ronald.
Okay. Let's bring in our resident political pundit, si Ronald Llamas, who joins us via Zoom because nasaan ka?
Asan ka?
Ay.
Ano yan? Saan ka?
Ha?
Ha?
Bahay.
At kinakailangan yung tanongin.
Hindi
nasaan?
bahay yan eh. Mukhang hindi bahay.
Mukhang bahay yan eh.
Mukhang
Because-
hindi lalaki yung may-ari ng bahay.
Because every time you're away, you're up to something. So, nasaan ka?
Yeah, I'm not feeling well.
Ah, okay.
Oo, sabi na
Totoo?
nasa bahay eh.
Hindi naman kayo ito ng background ng bahay niya eh.
Nasa ibang bahay.
Last ako
Oo,
may
ano yan?
ibang bahay.
Ibang bahay ba yan?
Yun eh. Kaya hindi makasagot.
Tinamaan siya ni tropical depression, bising.
Oh, ako eh.
Nako,
depressed.
Oh.
Ako, depressed ako eh, di ba? Oo.
Depression, hindi depressed.
eh. Madali ako ma-depressed.
Ano ba yun? Hindi ko ma-imagine.
Okay.
Big story today.
Walang kwenta pinag-uusapan nyo kanina.
Ano lang kwento dun? It's dirty satisfaction nga.
Manual labor. Uy, okay. Lots of big stories today pa rin. We're still following the tale of the missing Sabongeros. Si Justice Secretary Boying Remulla has confirmed na at least 15 police are involved.
Or have been implicated. Or parang
Or have been implicated.
administrative suspension eh. Parang admin suspension. Parang preventive admin
Restricted
suspension.
duty.
There you go.
Restricted duty. Ngayon
that's
lang
the
ako
word.
nakarinig nun. Ano yun? Ano yung you're either restricted or you're ano eh.
May sweldo ko pa rin, pero wala kang trabaho.
Ano ba yung restricted duty?
Parang kang restricted to quarter siguro. Sa sweldo ka, pero wala kang trabaho.
Hindi ko. Bakit naka-duty?
Eh, kasi sa sweldo pa rin sila.
Desk work lang daw eh. Ano ba yan? Ngayon ko lang narinig yung restricted duty.
Yeah, ito ba yung mga missing, ito na yung
I think
missing
those are the
Sabongeros.
missing
We're
ones.
showing videos of
Those are the missing Sabongeros.
missing Sabongeros. Again, 34 ang...
No, 108 na yung latest.
Yes, pero that's according to alias Totoy. Siya
Totoy,
yung ibigay ng 108
Yes.
number na yon. Pero yung as far as we know, galing sa officials are investigating at least 34
34.
cases of missing Sabongeros, and lumalabas na din yung some of their family members and kin, no?
We were talking last night to Attorney Buco de la Cruz. He's a trial lawyer, and turns out pala he's the dean now of a law school in Bulacan. He had some good points eh. Sabi niya, kasi we were asking him, kasi at this point, puro he said, she said eh. I mean, we haven't seen any evidence yet, although the DOJ says that they have some pieces of evidence, but we haven't seen anything yet. Puro assertions lang ng both sides eh. So what kind of evidence would you look for you to make anything stand up in court? Sabi niya,
May mga video daw.
but even that's
Nung
not enough
kinukuha
eh.
yung mga Sabongero.
But even that's
Pinadala dun sa kotse.
but even that is not yet enough for the cases that they're thinking of eh. Kasi for you to allege murder, for example, you have to have a corpus
Kaya
delicti.
mahirap nga.
A corpus
The body.
delicti. The body talaga.
Walang corpus delicti.
Without a body to show, you cannot
Yeah.
prove that somebody was
Missing ka lang.
killed or murdered. Killed nga is different from
Missing ka
murdered.
lang kasi alam mo yung pinagtapunan nila, mahirap makakuha ng tao dyan eh. Mahirap makakuha ng nililibing dyan. That's a volcano eh.
And the other thing is this
Yung
eh.
lake na yan is the caldera of a volcano.
And
It's a volcano.
I suppose it's also a bit acidic because nga it's a volcano eh.
Well,
Pag nagtapong ka dyan, pwede ka lumubog dire-diretso eh.
But the other thing
Pwede
is this
may
eh.
mga ganong area na dire-diretso ka, hindi ka na makuha. At ang lalim-lalim ng tala. That's why it has its own aquatic ecosystem eh. Kaya katakot-takot nagre-research dyan ng mga scientist. Kakaiba yan. Kaya iba lasa ng mga isda dyan.
Ganun? Hindi ko alam yun.
Dahil iba siyang klase.
let's not go into the taste of the fish there. But one more thing, and I think I'm sure Abby can would agree with me on this. A body decomposes by a factor several
Ang
times
bilis-bilis,
faster when it's underwater or nakababad sa tubig.
Bilis,
and you're
bilis.
talking about
Saka meron diyang mga remember, merong mga isda dyan na kumakain ng flesh ng
I don't want to go into that.
Mahirap makita yun.
Well, okay,
Kung hindi
so
ka lumubog sa lugar na may liquefaction, pwedeng kinain na sila ng isda.
So it's
anyways,
complicated to look for the bodies.
Speculate, but si Justice Secretary Remulla did give a long interview to Christian Esguerra last night on Facts First on his podcast, during which we learned a few things, which is that, sabi ni Justice Sec Boying, credible naman daw tong si self-proclaimed whistleblower na si alias Totoy, si Julie Patidongan. Sabi niya, credible. Those are the words that he used, and I was surprised when he said that. According to Justice Sec Boying, they have been investigating this case but for a few months now, even before the midterms now. That's how they know na magsasalita itong si alias Totoy. He also said that, yes, they have on hand videos and other material evidence. It's a
Text
bit,
messages, pwede.
oo, it's a bit confusing though because sabi naman ni alias Totoy that the videos, di ba, he had a lot of phones na pinabura daw sa kanya. They were burned. Pina-erase tapos they were burned later on daw allegedly ni Atong Ang.
Kasi burner phones eh.
Hindi ko alam may burner phones or smartphones. Pero the point was that marami siyang phones, more than 10. But
15 na
alias
lang.
Totoy alleged that Atong Ang had him burn those phones. So if those phones were burned, I'm wondering where these videos and material evidence that Justice Sec Boying is saying where they got it from.
Malay mo naka-upload sa
Naka-upload
iCloud.
sa iCloud.
Baka may
yun.
kopya.
Sino yung nagko-control ng iCloud? How did they get access to it, right? I mean, if alias Totoy was only working for Atong Ang, presumably si Atong yung may control ng iCloud, right? I don't know, but
Unless kumuha. Si Totoy ang kumuha.
Oh.
But I don't use iCloud.
in any case, ito nga, so and also Justice Sec SOJ Boying said, mahirap nga to look for the alleged bodies that were thrown in Taal Lake. They are going to engage the Coast Guard and the Navy to help look. Pero as you guys pointed out, it's fresh water. It's a freshwater body of water, so the buoyancy is different. Number two, he said it's quite murky nga daw, and as Ed said, acidic. So hindi pwedeng ikakaiba yung diving conditions nun. So they have to borrow equipment
Itim ang ilalim nun eh.
They have to borrow
Itim.
equipment from Japan at this point. That's what he told Christian in the podcast last night. So, and hindi pa sila makastart ngayon kasi nga wala pang equipment and it's a very specialized kind of diving exercise. So they will start looking in a few weeks pa. They can't do it right now.
Actually, Reg, yung sinasabi kasi na corpus delicti, we have to ask a lawyer, a criminal lawyer, ano talaga yung ibig sabihin nun. Pero hindi absolute kasi yun eh. Dahil
it's
ang
not absolute.
nire-refer na body is also a body of evidence. Kung overwhelming evidence, kahit wala physically yung body, ay pwede kang makonvict. Combination ng circumstantial, testimonies, etc. So, hindi siya absolute.
Yeah, it is not absolute.
Corpus delicti is not
But you can
absolute.
imagine how much more difficult it is if you don't have a body to show or to prove with which to prove the death.
Marami kasi na-convict na wala yung body physically. Halimbawa, sinunog, kinremate yung body, etc. Marami nangyayaring gano'n eh. O kaya sa tubig, no, etc. No? So, hindi siya, sinasabi ko lang, hindi siya absolute. Pero
Correct.
ayun nga, talaga na mayroon tayong criminal lawyer para ipaliwanag ano yung ibig sabihin talaga ng body of evidence. No? Hindi siya physically yung body lang. It's a marami siyang ebidensya na pwedeng ipagsama-sama.
An example of that would be what happened to Rinaldo Momay, the 58th victim dun sa Maguindanao Massacre. His body, siya lang ang hindi nahanap eh. His body was never found. So for more than a decade, his case was not included in the Maguindanao Massacre case. So yeah,
He was just tagged as missing.
Nahanap na yung what they suspect to be his false teeth. But his body, the body itself was never found, and yun ang hinanakit ng anak. Last minute na ihabol na finally declare ng court, sige, we'll consider that na rin. Pero in the final judgment of the conviction, hindi pa rin siya nakasama sa case. So in limbo yung pamilya.
And to this day.
Kaya
To
wala
this day,
siyang
in limbo.
compensation.
Walang compensation si Momay. Yung si Reyna Faye, yung anak ko.
And they never found the body. They never found any trace.
Humanity. Parang
They never found the body.
humanity. Parang hindi naman mahanap lahat ng body dahil nga pineke yung mga autopsy, pineke yung mga, di ba lumabas pa nga na namatay sa cardiac arrest kahit may tama ng bala sa ulo. So yung ganun ba, yung talagang binabo yung ebidensya. Maraming ganun.
Well, what complicates this further is si alias Totoy admitted he didn't see
Ayun pa. Kitted ba yan?
the Sabongeros being killed. Hindi rin niya nakita,
first-hand.
hindi rin niya na-witness with his own eyes the bodies allegedly being dumped sa Taal Lake. So, at this point in time, we don't have any witness testimony. And yet,
Diba, sabi ni Remulla, may mga iba pang testigo.
yes.
Hindi lang isa yung testigo eh. May mga nahawak nila.
Kasi dinala daw dun sa parang resort dun sa Taal, di ba, na ang may-ari daw pulis. So I guess kilala na nila kung sino yung pulis. Kasi ilan lang naman yung resort na yan, lakeside eh. Tapos yun daw ang nagdala dun sa gitna ng lake. Kasi yung gitna ng lake malalim. Yan ang medyo mahirap-hirap. So pero kung focus ka dun sa resort, baka may makita ka ebidensya related to that aspect of the investigation. Kasi may mga nahuli naman ng mga ano, di ba? May mga nahuli ng pulis related to some of the cases.
But
So
proving...
pwede kang kumuha ng mga ganong lead.
Ang talaga may magko-corroborate sa mga testimony nito, kinorroborate nito, etc. No?
Baka hindi yung 34 ang makuha lahat, pero yung ibang kaso pwede. Saka yung 108, nakakapagtaka lang doon, bakit walang mga kamag-anak na naghahanap nung above 34, no? Medyo marami-rami 108 na napatay. Bakit walang mga naghahanap?
Meron pa nga palang bata, 14 anyos, na parang nakasama. No? Parang nagagwardya lang ng mga manok na idamay. At least yun. At least.
So...
Chicago, kung ganun karami, 108.
Definitely proving this is going to be an uphill challenge for the DOJ, no? Especially since nga, tama, pwedeng may ibang witnesses, may ibang testigo, pero the question is whether the stories line up and what other material evidence they have. Sabi nga niya, credible daw itong sabi ni SOJ Remulla, credible daw itong si alias Totoy, but again, what other hard evidence do they have on hand? We don't know yet. Meron lang daw, they're keeping it under wraps for now, but they believe they have a strong case.
We just take a word for it.
On the other hand, on the other side of it, of course, si Gretchen Barreto, through her lawyer, si Alma Malonga has already issued a statement. No, it's a pretty long statement. Of course, they're denying any and all involvement in this. Sabi niya, all of alias Totoy's allegations are just based on plain suspicion. And also he pointed out that he has not witnessed anything that Ms. Barreto has said or done to be somehow involved in this case. Yung ina-allege ni alias Totoy is of course that Gretchen Barreto is an alpha member of Pitmasters and she's part of the inner circle, essentially. And she attended no meetings where approvals were sought or nor given to implement the disappearances. The proposition is so absurd, it is plain invention. That's part of the Barreto statement to the media today.
So, yun. Mag-iintayin tayo kasi all we have is what Toto has been telling us. The rest are just assertions by the Justice Secretary. We have not seen the evidence they have on hand. We just have his confidence, his stated confidence in the weight of these pieces of evidence.
Si Justice Secretary nag-formally apply na for ombudsman.
Ayun nga pala, today's the
He
deadline,
did.
no?
Nag-apply siya yesterday.
Formal na.
He told Christian. And he para sa kanya, he didn't see any conflict of interest with the fact that he's sitting as an ex-officio member of the JBC, the group that
Mag-i-inhibit ka naman pag gano'n eh.
oh, yun nga ang sabi niya, baka di naman niya siya sasali sa pag-craft ng shortlist that is to be given to the president so the president can choose from that shortlist sino yung maging ombudsman. And when Christian asked him ano yung motivation niya for applying to become ombudsman, he said, well, he's done every government public
From
service
congressman
role
to-
there is. Congressman, governor, mayor, I think mayor din, no?
I'm not sure about mayor.
Anyway, local government. He's served in the cabinet, and in his mind, parang this seems to be the appropriate next step, right? And also, he was talking about when he was still in law school. Naisip niya, the ombudsman is the check and balance, right? The buck stops with the ombudsman, and to him, it has a higher purpose. So.
Kamusta
In
yung
theory yun, in theory.
kaso niya daw sa ombudsman? May kaso ba siya?
Hindi ko alam eh.
Never gonna
Sabi ni
confirm
Edna.
that.
Ako wala
No, it
akong
was not me who said it. It was
natatandaan.
Ron who
Si
said
Ron
that.
ba yung nagsabi? Ikaw yung nagsabi nun ni Kaso,
Ikaw
right?
nagsabi nun eh.
Ano
Sige,
lumabas sa
tinatanong kami.
news. Lumabas kasi sa news na meron siyang kaso sa ombudsman. Hindi ko alam kung na-resolve na yon.
Yeah, check nga natin.
Wala akong alam na gano'n.
But yes, so in any case, again, si Ombudsman Samuel Martirez is stepping down July 27, so we should have a decision on that soon. No word yet kung sino yung nire-recommend niya to replace him as Justice Secretary.
Kung ikaw ba ay dating ombudsman, pwede ka rin makasuhan doon sa mga ginawa mo o hindi mo ginawa mo bilang ombudsman.
Good question.
Actually, why not?
Shoot, yeah.
Impeachable official yan eh.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean,
correct.
kasi kung dati kang ombudsman eh, so ibig sabihin, wala na, hindi na siya in office.
Oo, in relation to the job yata, baka unless halimbawa murder, syempre hindi naman nawawala yan kahit anong posisyon mo sa gobyerno.
I don't think there is
Pero yung mga negligence, mga ganon, I think ang punishment lang doon you will be removed by impeachment. Tapos na siya.
I think there's no protection in the Constitution for former impeachable officials. There's no protection for them.
Hindi, depende sa crime yan, I think
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that
Kung related to
they can
the performance of your job, halimbawa nga yung may mga ganon, di ba? Yung mga related lang specifically to performance of the job, yung mga gross abuse of discretion, parang mga ganon. Hindi na siya makakahabol afterwards, di ba? Pero kung yung sinabi ko nga, murder, ganon, yung mga armed robbery, mga torture, siyempre mahahabol ka dun.
How about plunder? Halimbawa, ombudsman ka, di ba?
Tapos
Sa'yo
you committed
na-
plunder.
Corruption.
Pero meron ka mismong ginawang plunder.
There's,
Liable ka ba ron?
of course.
Palagay ko pwede.
Of course.
Palagay ko pwede.
I don't think there's any protection at all. Once you're out of the service, even if you were impeachable,
Kapag ganyan,
free for all.
capital offense yan
Kumbaga yung ginawa mo habang ikaw ay ombudsman.
Oo, capital offense yan
Bakit may may naisip ka?
Hindi naman, dahil siyempre maraming reklamo sa kanya before. From the, diba? Marami siyang mga reklamo, yung mga pinoprotektahan niya, mga ganun-ganon, etc.
Tika, mga di umano pinaprotektahan niya. Ikaw talaga.
Hindi umano, pinoprotektahan niya, etc.
Matagal-tagal pati ang yung period na pwede ka mag-file. I don't think you're protected from capital offenses, from indictment for capital offenses.
But of course, the principle behind it is no one is immune, right?
About-
Everyone
yeah.
should be accountable. Yun yung principle behind it. Whether or not...
Kahit presidente.
Oo. I mean, the president is only immune from suit when he's in
While
office.
sitting in office.
Oo. After that, it's a fair game. We also have to touch on other...
Ay, ito pala, Bok, yung well, this is more recent there's a directive from the Ombudsman requiring Boying Remulla as Justice Secretary and several others to respond to the complaint filed or the complaint from the recommendation ng Senate Foreign Relations Committee of Jaime Marcos. So may complaint na against Boeing for the
I think that's related to the arrest of
arrest.
ano.
The arrest.
Di ba?
Yeah.
The arrest of, hindi naman yung corruption.
No, what I'm saying is that there's a case, there's a
Formal
at least
case.
complaint
There's a
already.
formal case.
There's a, I don't know lang kung ano status ngayon, but there's a complaint already with the Ombudsman's Office against Boeing. Respondents are
Kaya nga, related yan
Remulla,
sa arrest ni Duterte, di ba?
yeah. Respondents are Boeing Remulla, John Rick Remulla, Marbil, Nicolas Torre, and Lacanilao.
But did that
Of
move
grave
forward?
misconduct? I don't know nga eh. I don't have an update on that eh. The complaints are grave misconduct and conduct prejudicial to the interest of the service. Arbitrary detention, usurpation of functions, grave threats. Marami siya. And this was only nung May.
Yes.
Sinong complainant?
Senator,
Mukhang Foreign
Ivy.
Relations Committee. On May 6, Martires ordered the officials to file their counter affidavits.
Yes. Kaya nga,
Tumaandar siya.
wasn't that one of the output from the Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearing that Senator Amy
what I
Marcos
mean is, I
held?
don't know if there was a complaint filed by the Foreign Relations Committee or nag-motu proprio si
Hindi ba
Martires.
personal complaint yan? O yung committee mismo, wala eh.
Ang nangyari lang si Amy submitted the report to the Ombudsman
Yeah.
and recommended filing. Pero yung
Hindi sa committee yan, sa kanya yan.
pero yung complaint mukhang motu proprio ni Martires.
Motu proprio niya yun.
Okay.
Sa bagay, yung committee naman usually they just recommend it. They don't file the cases themselves. So yun, meron kang pending. With Ombudsman. Quite recent. Nung May lang.
Which is still related to the arrest of Duterte.
Arrest and the surrender of Duterte to the ICC.
Other news today, si Philippine Coast Guard spokesman Jay Tariele has sued the vlogger Sasot, si Alan Troy, I think his real name, no, Alan Troy Rogando Sasot, for cyber libel. This was expected kasi you remember for many months nag-aaway sila online. Si Tariela is accusing Sasot of launching personal and unfounded attacks online, including allegations of bribery, that alleging that si Tariela daw was engaging in bribery and corruption. So Tariela today filed a case with support from the movement against disinformation group headed
grupo ni
by
Tony Laviña.
Dean Tony Laviña. Correct. Yeah. Matagal. There's a lot of
May statement din dyan si Ray Powell.
He filed the case
Meron din siyang
before.
mahabang statement related to that.
Si Sasot has also issued her own statement, which is quite short. She just said that she will respond to the complaint when she receives it. Diba? She's not in the country right now, so she hasn't received formally the complaint. So Tariela says, accusing her of fake news, disinformation, misinformation, and claiming that he received bags of money from House Speaker Martin Romualdez and a talent free from the United States. So yun yung some of the actual allegations that Tariela cited in his complaint against Sasot. Again, this is for cyber libel.
Si Shelo Magno nag-file din kay Sasot, di ba?
Ay, natuloy ba yun?
Tuloy.
I remember...
Kaya, ongoing yun. I'm not sure yung status, pero may warrant yata yun.
May warrant?
I'm not
Ay,
sure.
nasa abroad naman siya.
Nasa China yata.
Sabi mo nga, but I haven't been able to prove that.
Di ba nasa US?
I doubt it. No? Ang alam ko nasa China. Pero pwede natin itanong sa Bureau of Immigration.
Well, I don't know if they would know because she could have left for the US or for China pero moved countries after that, right?
Kasi sa country na walang extradition.
Sabi mo nga. And then just lastly, sa economic news, we have inflation ticking up to 1.4%, which is still not bad considering that 1.3% lang the previous month, and that's still well within the target. Sabi na, yung food inflation is actually only 0.1% last month. So sabi ng gobyerno, these are all the interventions that we're doing that has helped bring down prices. On the other hand, ano yung tumataas? The debt stock. The government debt has ballooned to 17 trillion, almost 17 trillion pesos as of end May. 16.92 trillion actually, to be precise. That's higher. Well, that's a record debt right now, right? So they're trying to. That's off the back of capital raising efforts by the government. So bumibili ng dollars and trying to fund all of these infrastructure projects. But unfortunately, the dollar has gotten stronger in the previous months, and the peso has gotten weaker. So that hasn't helped things.
Okay, let's go for a break.
Yes, because I thought we were bringing in a guest, but we're going to go for a break right now. You're watching Storycon 1 News. We just need to take a very quick break. Please stay with us.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.
We've got developing news in the stories behind the headlines. Welcome back to Storycon, the Story Conference. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Regina Lay, still with us. Ami Pamitun of the Philippine Star and Ronald Llamas, a resident political pundit, joining us via Zoom. Also joining us via Zoom is Attorney Gilbert Andres. He's an ICC accredited lawyer. Good afternoon, Attorney Andres. Kamusta po?
Hi, sir. Good afternoon.
Hi, Attorney.
Ed and Ami from the Netherlands.
From the Netherlands.
Ah,
Yes.
Sir, may update daw kayo. DCC, document containing charge, will be filed by the prosecutor this Friday. Ano yung sabihin nun? Kasi we thought na yung umpisa pa lang, when Duterte was brought there and made to face the ICC, we thought that was already the presentation of the articles, or not articles, the charges.
Okay, Ed, actually, it's a bit reverse here, if we compare it for our domestic proceedings. Because in our domestic proceedings, there's the information that's filed in court. Then the judge will actually issue an arrest warrant. Then the accused will be arrested. But here, it's the reverse. Actually, there was the arrest warrant issued by the pretrial chamber. And Mr. Duterte was arrested legally, okay, under international law and Philippine domestic law. And then, after that, that's when the Office of the Prosecutor will file the so-called DCC, document containing charges. This is actually the formal charges against Mr. Duterte. So it will actually state there, crimes against humanity. What crimes against humanity under Article 7? Does it include murder only? Or does it include rape? Or does it include imprisonment under arbitrary conditions? Or does it include other inhumane acts? So that's what we will determine this Friday.
That's what we will see this Friday, you mean? Kung ano yung mga particulars.
Yes, the particulars, the metes and bounds, the four corners of the formal charges against Mr. Duterte.
Pero attorney, di ba yung ebidensya ay nagsimula ng i-gather during the preliminary investigation stage?
Yes, you're right, Ronald. Preliminary investigation stage. In fact, it's still continuing. Kasi that's the mandate of the Office of the Prosecutor.
Yes, which means na medyo marami na rin silang mga ebidensya na naipon. Hindi pa kumpleto perhaps, pero marami na rin silang naipon going into the international warrant of arrest.
Yes, you're right. In fact, they had the final disclosure, I think last July 2. They already filed their final disclosure to the defense. And just to add another update, last July 3, the ICC plenary of judges, it's the whole judges of the ICC, already tonight rejected the application for disqualification of the two judges with respect to the jurisdiction.
Yes.
So yung dating denial, kasi may dati ng report yan Yung dating denial, yun lang chamber. Now it's the entire plenary,
Now it's the entire plenary of judges because, it's really under the Rome Statute and the rules of procedure and everything. It should be the plenary of judges which will decide any application. It's not just the pretrial chamber or the appeals chamber. It's the plenary of judges.
Correct. We got that.
Ma-appeal pa ba yan? Ma-appeal pa siya, yung denial? Ma-appeal pa.
That's possible, but actually the appeal would also be almost useless because it's the plenary of judges.
Plenary.
And it's actually unanimous. Minus, minus the two judges because it's provided for that they are not part of the voting. So this was unanimous. And I understand why it was unanimous because it will actually limit the judicial power, authority of the judges.
Bali lang siya, sir.
Issue, attorney. On another issue, pinag-uusapan kasi rito whether to apply again for membership sa ICC. At mukhang encouraging naman yung mga initial na mga statements. Pero directly or indirectly ba? Makaka-apekto ba yan sa kaso ni ex-President Digong yung pag-member uli o hindi sa ICC? Kahit indirectly, paano mahaba pa naman yung kaso na yan, di ba? Several years pa yan.
Okay, Ronald, I will give you a very nuanced answer. It should not. Why? because there was already a preliminary investigation even before we totally withdrew. There was a preliminary examination, just to be very technical about it, even before we withdrew. So it should not affect the investigation. What the re-entry of the Philippines will really affect is it's really the charges, the potential charges in the future, because it will start from when it takes effect now, and then after that, then the ICC once again has jurisdiction over any international crimes that occurs in Philippine territory. That's really the effect of that.
Can I just come back to the DCC, the document containing charges? When you say that it's going to contain the meat and bones, what level of detail are we talking about? Because in the when he was arrested, we already saw what the crimes were, and the prosecutor already said they had reasonable grounds to believe that crimes against humanity were committed. But in this new document, in this DCC, to what level of detail are we expecting?
It should be enough detail to actually give guidance to the defense and for the defense to also prepare. So, and it should also guide the pretrial chamber, the trial chamber, hopefully in the future, as well as the victims. So this will be more extensive compared to the application for an arrest warrant. Because if you remember, in the application for arrest warrant, there were actually three incidents under crimes against humanity. It was not just for murder; it's also for rape and also for, I think, other inhumane acts. But not included in the arrest warrant. It's only for murder. So one of the questions that we look forward to be answered is whether it will also include arbitrary detentions or rape or other inhumane acts. So it will be more detailed compared to the application for the arrest warrant.
Will it contain specific cases? Will we know about the specific cases that the prosecution will be presenting?
Yes, you're right on that, Regina. It should contain specific incidents that are emblematic of the thousands upon thousands killed under the war on drugs. But let me reiterate this. Any specific cases, whether 43 or more than that, these are merely emblematic of at least 6,000 murdered under police operations, or under the 15 to 30,000 under vigilante-style killings.
Nagdagdagan na ba yung original? Kasi yun ang sinasabi ng kabila eh. Mga konti-konti niya ginagawa yung crimes against humanity. Whether it's emblematic or not, yun ang sabi nila. It's 40 plus na, no? 43 or 46. Nagdagdagan na ba ngayon?
43 in the application.
43, yeah.
So, but as of now, even if you monitor it right now, the ICC website, hindi pa lumalabas yung DCC. Kasi 10:43 AM pa lang dito sa Central European Time. Hanggang 4 PM, I think, yung business hours. So, antabay natin yan.
Pero that's today.
Yes, that's today, July. I hope it's metaphorical. And justice for the victims of the war on drugs.
Attorney, are there any indications na may mga iba pa sooner or later na may issuehan ng international warrant?
Very good question, Ronald. But I think the focus right now, because of the time limitations, is really just on Mr. Duterte. Because of the disclosure, very strict timelines, especially under pretrial chamber 1. But it's still, well, to be seen whether there will be future. But I think this is just one case against Mr. Duterte, because this is the Philippine situation. And there can be other cases under the Philippine situation against the other perpetrators of the war on drugs. So we can also expect that. This will not limit who will be indicted.
Well, sir, you talked about strict timelines. Can you run us through the timelines? What's coming up next, and how tight are the timelines?
Okay, so today, July 4, document containing charges. I think more or less August 20, the registry will also try to transmit to the pretrial chamber who are the victims that applied, because victim participation is a different process from the confirmation of charges, from the application for arrest warrant, from the DCC, and then there will also be the timeline for the legal representative for victims. So these are the three timelines that are actually in parallel. They're moving in parallel. Also, let me be approximate. This is merely approximate because there's actually still the jurisdictional challenge as well as the application for interim release.
Yeah.
This is just an approximate. More or less, maybe the jurisdictional challenge will be resolved maybe last week of August, first week of September. But this is merely an approximation. Interim release, maybe thereabouts also.
Kumusta yung sa interim release request? Any new developments done?
Oh, there's no new development as of now, Ami. But let me just emphasize also that based on the jurisprudence of the ICC, no application for interim release has been approved by the chambers with respect to Article 5 crimes. Article 5, crimes against humanity, war crimes, genocide. Only for Article 70, offenses against administration of justice. Diyan lang po nagbigay ng interim release yung chambers, pero hindi po sa Article 5.
We know at this point, Attorney Andres, that the prosecution is recommending that the chamber reject the application of former President Duterte for interim release on a number of grounds. But give us an insight on sino po yung magde-decide nito? It's still the pre-trial chamber. Along with the jurisdictional issue, is it also the pre-trial chamber that decides on it?
Yes, both of those will be decided by the pre-trial chamber. It's within the powers of the pre-trial chamber. Interim release as well as jurisdictional challenge. This is what is called the competence la competence. The ICC, specifically the pre-trial chamber, has the power to determine its own jurisdiction, and even any court or tribunal has that competence la competence. So, antabayan po natin yan at maging decision.
And when you say your approximation for the timeline is last week August, first week September, what needs to happen between now and then? Ano pa pong kulang? Like, how many more steps is there to go through? Because we're completely blind to this. We just know that the prosecution has filed its response, but apart from that, we don't know when they might kick off the process.
I think for the prosecution, it's really preparation for the confirmation of charges, because remember, the prosecution has that onus probandi. It has the duty to show that there are substantial grounds to believe that we should proceed to trial. So it also takes preparation, especially that this is an international crime. So there's the contextual element, widespread or systematic attack. And there's the specific acts under that widespread or systematic attack, which we still definitely don't know as of now, whether it's merely murder or also arbitrary detention or even SGBV or rape and other sexual and gender-based violence and other inhumane acts. So also what's going to happen in between now and September 23, application, victims application process, as well as the consultations with as to who should be the common legal representative for victims. Three processes are working in parallel until September 23.
I guess ang gustong malaman ng mga tao, attorney, kung kailan kaya mag-uumpisa yung trial. Best case scenario, kung sakasakali lang that you will proceed to trial, nakikita naman natin how the ICC is moving now. Ano kaya yung projection?
Okay,
Kung kailan? Within the year kaya pwede?
You're asking a very specific question, a technical question, trial, ano? Kasi we're presuming it will proceed to trial.
Yeah.
And I really hope it will proceed to trial.
Yeah, kung sakasakali lang, yeah.
After September, the pre-trial chamber has 60 days to determine, to actually determine and issue its resolution as to the confirmation of charges. And hopefully, if it will proceed to trial, more or less, it will be next year, January or
Next
February
year.
next year, yes. January or February of next year. Hopefully. Okay.
Attorney, kamusta ang sitwasyon dyan physically sa The Hague? Tuloy pa rin yung mga rallies ng mga supporters ni Digong. Paano ang alam ko, nagreklamo yung mga residents dyan doon sa mga... Ay, ingay, nagkataling.
I think wala na pong masyadong mga kababayan, no, doon sa Copenhagen. I may be wrong, pero at specific times na alam ko dates, wala masyado, ano. In fact, kung tingnan mo yun yung Malifield, wala nang masyado nagmo-mobilization, hindi ko alam, baka nagpapahinga lang siguro muna. Yung mga supporters ni Mr. Duterte. Pero I also want to emphasize, Ronald, our kababayans are really exercising their freedom of speech and freedom of expression and freedom of assembly. And kudos to that. It's provided for under the Dutch Constitution as well as the European Convention on Human Rights. But the question is, was the right to life, liberty, and security of our kababayans here in the Philippines, was it respected during the time of the war on drugs under Mr. Duterte? And it was not.
Kumusta yung mga witness? Kasi naghihingi ng protection for some of the witnesses. Ano bang kayang gawin for them ng ICC mismo?
Right. Ganito, Ami. This is the nuanced approach. The ICC has that protection duty. But it's very specific if it's a dual role witness, because it has a protection duty for witnesses. And if it's a dual role witness, meaning to say the witness is both a victim as well as a witness. Talagang heightened yan. Yung duty to protect. Nandyan din sa victims, but as of now, wala pa kasi yung talagang approved list of victims for the participation, to be technical about it.
Yes.
They're still in the process of applying for victim participation. Kaya ang generic lang na protective duty, do no harm, never disclose the names of those who apply. Never. Redact it, if ever. Redact it always, unless, victim under the, may ABC kasi na process, ang A talagang swak within the DCC. Yung B talagang labas sa DCC. Let's say, namatay noong 1901. Obviously, labas yan. Or yung C naman, hindi pa alam ng registry whether labas or pasok. So yan, i-reveal yan sa pre-trial chamber. As well as defense kung naka-redact yun. Kaya that's the do no harm principle. Kaya for us, center law, we don't just disclose, and we never disclose the names of the victims.
Right.
Even the number of the victims we represent, we never disclose them.
Okay.
Center law, I defend peace.
Okay, just very quickly, one last question, Attorney Andres. I wonder if you could help us understand yung kaso po ni former spokesman Harry Roque. Because on the one hand, you have Justice Secretary Boying Remulla saying, as far as he knows, na deny yung asylum application ni Harry Roque, and then Harry says, no, that's fake news. He is still legally, he has legal status in the Netherlands, and in fact, he has been moving around between the Netherlands and Germany. But also, on the other hand, the government here is trying to cancel his passport. So how does all of that work? Do you have any insights on that?
Siguro, Gina, this is the point where I will need to drink water. No pun intended.
Full disclosure, si Harry, tama sir, no? One of the founders.
Former colleague niyo po, yes.
So, Ninong po. Full disclosure.
Yes.
I think, the complication there is there's an interplay of three systems. The Dutch legal system, the Philippine legal system, as well as the Dutch asylum regime. So, an international law. So, there's actually an interplay of three systems. But the limitation in whatever opinion I can give is that I don't have any facts as of the moment. Proven facts, established facts. So, yun lang po yung problema doon. Wala po akong facts talaga, kaya hindi talaga ako makapagbigay ng informed opinion on that. But I will also want to say that wala kaming any interactions with Mr. Harry Roque.
Sir, hindi nyo kinukumusta ninong nyo?
Attorney, parang bihinet yung pagkakasabi niya.
Pinag-pray. So, ganun na lang.
Very vehement,
Pinag-pray. Pray for one another naman,
Okay.
di ba? Oh.
You don't bump into him there, sir? Kasi,
Hindi, laki talaga ng danhak eh. Sa Netherlands o ng Europe, hindi pa nakapag-bump po. Siguro tutunan lang ng 1 second, ganun lang po.
Galing talaga umiwas si attorney.
Puntahan niyo sa tulip fields.
oh.
Oo, baka ibang tulip fields yung pinuntahan,
Okay, we'll leave that there. Thank you so much for your insights today. ICC accredited lawyer attorney Gilbert Andres. Salamat, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Ingat
Thank you,
po.
attorney.
Buhay po tayong lahat.
Okay, that's all the time we have for Storycon today. Nawala na si Ami and si Ronald. But Ronald, feel better soon. And also, thank you. Oh, where's he?
Ano pa?
Ito pa kami.
Yun.
Yan pa kami.
Agad eh.
Ronald Llamas, a resident
Yeah.
political pundit. Feel better soon. Ami Pamintuan, editor-in-chief of Philippine Star. I'm Regina Lay. Join us again Monday, 4 p.m. for Storycon.
I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time. Happy weekend.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.